welcome to another Who Corner to Corner. My name is Paul, and I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Geoff. How you doing, Geoff?
I'm good tonight. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Yes, good indeed. Yeah. Do you know why I'm so good?
Because you're talking to me.
No, that's obviously not the answer at all. But yes, it would be. But no, it's not that at all, actually, mate. No, I'm good because A, I've got loads of time back on my hands, which is one thing you don't have anymore. So, boo sucks to you, mate. And C, we're talking about probably one of my most favourite ever Doctor Who serials ever in the world, like forever and ever and ever. Do you know what that is?
Well, I hope so, else I've watched the wrong thing.
It's The War Games by such and such. Yeah, except we're not doing the old black and white one, which is one I really like. We're doing The War Games in colour, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Yes, you heard it here first. We are doing The War Games in colour. So if you've seen that, very good, brilliant. If you haven't seen it, well, go out and watch it. And if you watch it before you listen to this podcast, brilliant. If our podcast makes you go out and watch it afterwards, even more brilliant. Or not, depending how it's going to go.
Brilliant.
Yes, you're quite a fast show again, aren't you?
Cheesy peas.
Yeah, it's quite a fast show. People of a certain age would
this
get
is the recently released War Games in colour.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, to be fair, we were going to do this round about Christmas time, which is when it was actually out on BBC iPlayer, I believe, and I watched it then, dedicated Doctor Who fan that I am. But it took you a little bit longer to get round to watching it, didn't it, Geoff?
Yeah, it did.
Literally, what, in the last couple of nights? Where are we now? September 2025, after it's already been released on Blu-ray, and every other podcast has already done its review of it?
Yeah.
It's fine. I can live with that.
Now, this review of it might inspire people to go back and rewatch it.
Exactly. It might get like a second wind or a second burn or an uplift, a mid-season uplift or something before Christmas or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go. So that's the plan anyway. So we're going to sort of dive into that a little bit, talk about our thoughts and our feelings towards it, whether we liked it, whether we didn't enjoy it so much, or whatever it is. We've also, we were going to have my daughter Freya involved in this as well, because obviously one of the biggest things about this edit, so we've heard online and in various interviews with the people who did it and what have you, is that the whole reason behind these edits is to kind of pull in the Tik-Tok generation, the younger kids, the younger Doctor Who fans who may have just recently discovered that there is such a thing as Doctor Who in the last few years, or even the last sort of 10 or 20 years, and maybe haven't really sort of engaged or watched a lot of the old black and white episodes, if any, Geoff. I mean, that's a totally crazy idea to me. Why would you not do that? But nonetheless, I can acknowledge that there are those people out there, and perhaps they need a little bit of a bridge towards actually sitting down and watching some of these great episodes and stories from the series' long 60-year past, Geoff, you know. So the idea of editing I mean, to be honest, if you're going to edit something, it might as well be a 10-episode, 5.5 hour long thing, right? So so you might as well shove it all into 90 minutes, speed it all up, give it some Murray Gold-esque type music, colorize it so it doesn't look black and white, so removing all the obstacles, making it fast-paced, and just cutting straight to the chase. So that's kind of what the War Games did. And obviously it's not the first time they've done this, because before that they had the Daleks, the original Hartnell story, which was 7 episodes, 7 30-minute episodes long. Same kind of treatment. I think it was a bit shorter. I think it was only like an hour and 10 minutes, or maybe just an hour or something like that. So anyway, so we're going to talk about the War Games, and I just wanted to know, Geoff, just to kind of kick us off, what are your positive takes on this? What did you enjoy about it? First off,
well, I like the whole thing. I mean, I always like Second Doctor adventures, and obviously this one is quite a pivotal story, serial, you know, in the history of the show. You know, first mention, you know, of Time Lords, and you know, the regeneration into the Third Doctor, into Pertwee. As a serial itself, I haven't seen the full version, the black and white version. How many of those 10 episodes are missing? Am I right in thinking some of it's missing?
No, it's all there, mate.
Not. For some reason
it's
I
all there.
thought something was missing.
Wait, just did you say you have or you haven't watched the old? You haven't really?
No.
I didn't know that. I thought you had seen it actually.
No.
That's quite a surprise to me, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. So this is really good then. In that case, so what are your thoughts on this then? How did you find it?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Obviously, I haven't got anything to compare it against. Having not seen the full length version. But you just said it was 5.5 hours long. I was going to ask how long it was, and so they've chopped down what.
A lot.
4 hours out of it.
Yeah, it's either 5.5 or 4.5 hours. We'll probably work it out actually. Do the math. 10 episodes at roughly 30 minutes ish, or 25 minutes.
10. Yes, about 5 hours, isn't it?
It's just under 5. Yeah, just under 5 hours.
Just under 5 hours.
So I believe it's actually longer than the Zack Snyder Justice League cut.
Well, I mean that is an epic achievement in itself. 4 hours, jeez.
Hey, I love that film. Believe it.
Well, someone's
better than the travesty that preceded it. That's for sure.
What, his original cut of it?
Yeah, it wasn't his though, was it? In the end, because he abandoned it.
It was
your
massive...
mate, Joss Whedon, who finished the first version off. He
should never have gone near that.
No, he shouldn't. That's something we agree on. But back to the war games, mate.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Good job.
And it's quite interesting because it rattles along really fast, and I sort of wonder, and also I can find out if I want to. But what do they cut out? Because to me, it all works. But when you're taking out, obviously a lot. So perhaps in a minute you can kind of, detail that. So yeah, I think I do have sort of mixed feelings in some ways about taking, something that exists as it is. And I know you don't necessarily agree on this, but taking something as it is. And that's to massively, let's be honest, it is massively changing it in many ways by removing so much of it. But I suppose what they do is focus the core of it. But we talked before about the Wizard of Oz thing that they've done for the Sphere.
Yeah, we did
in Vegas, and I don't like that. Because it's literally changing it, creating
but with
new
that,
things.
That's slightly different, isn't it? Because that's changing it to fit a venue that has a certain shape and size of screen and a very different audience. Whereas the War Games is purely just for the audience. Yeah. Right?
So this is I don't like these sort of big changes, but this is not. It's not the same at all. So. I think I don't know if I was sort of really attached to the full serial, and they did this, I might have been a bit miffed by it. But as it happens, because I didn't have that, I thought this worked really well, and I particularly liked the colorization of it. I thought it worked really nicely, and as I was watching it, I was thinking, that's quite getting it done and it looking real and decent quality is quite a good achievement, really, because you're probably sort of largely guessing a lot of that, and it didn't look like it was having an effect put on it or anything. So I liked it. It was it was good. It was good colorization, and I liked the slightly extended regeneration scene at the end as well.
I thought you might.
It was nicely done, but people were wanted RTD's head, didn't they? Because they were like, hey, he's used an AI pertwee, and it turned out it wasn't. It was him sleeping from an episode, another one, and they'd turn the shot that way to make it, to get his post regeneration.
Oh right, yeah. There's a little bit more to that than just that, but we'll cover that in a bit. Let me just make a note. Regeneration, because that's quite a big chunk of this, and I would say.
And also because of the Series 6B theory.
That
one? Yeah.
Series 6B. Yeah, there we go. there's a lot of things to talk about in this, you know. Like you said, I think it is. I mean, the War Games in itself is a really pivotal story. So I sat down and watched this with Freya, my daughter, who was going to join us, who is very much of the TikTok generation, because, you know, as a very responsible, mature adult and an equally responsible and mature father, I felt it was just right to experiment on her in that way, really. You know, as a experiment with all my children with various things, and
So
I wanted to test that theory.
Sorry, you experiment on your children?
All the time, mate. Yeah, you want to see how many eyeballs they've got nowadays. You know, it's actually reasonably scary. But, you know, I wanted to test the theory that, you know, this is the TikTok generation will kind of dig this sort of thing. That's the thing. And, you know, my daughter, you know, Freya, falls right into that category. She's literally never off TikTok. The only time she's off TikTok is when she's in the pub necking whatever it is. I don't even want to think about what they drink. Yeah, probably some kind of rocket fuel or whatever, right? But anyway, right? So so I kind of sat her in front, and actually it's worked out quite nicely, the fact that you haven't watched the original series as well. So I didn't know that. So again, you kind of reflect how the more mature,
let's be honest,
the older person who hasn't watched it before might feel about it.
I am mature.
Now, you know, I used the wrong word. I'm going to edit that out. Mature is not the right word. Old is the right word to use.
But look, let's be honest. My time, as regular listeners might know, is quite limited.
Got 3 kids and they don't go to bed. Woe is me.
Watching a 10-episode serial is...
yeah, but it's divided into half-hour chunks, mate. You know, only an insane person, right, of a particular mental constitution would sit down and watch all 10 episodes in one shift. I mean, look at me. You don't want to end up like me, do you? Basically, that's what I'm saying.
Do you know, it's just suddenly made me think of a very infamous 5-hour YouTube video that people would recommend I watced some years ago.
We don't need to reference that at all.
I don't need to do that. No.
But yeah, don't do that. Let's not go down that route. Okay, right. So the colorization, I agree, is brilliant. I love the colorization, and you have to applaud the skill and the time and the dedication, almost obsessive dedication. I think it needs to really do this. And I think although the technology's got a lot better over the last sort of 20, 30 years or so, since they started doing this kind of early to mid-90s with the demons and things, it's still a labour of love, isn't it? You've still got to colour every single frame of that thing, right? Which is still no mean feat. However many tools you got in the box now, however intelligent they are or whatever, it's still a very manual, labour-intensive process. So hats off to, you know, whoever did that. I forget the name. We should have researched the names.
It was Rich Tipple.
Oh, Rich Tipple. Yes, it was. You're right. Yeah, well done, Rich. You are absolutely a genius, and we applaud you for your hefty, laborious efforts on this. Because one thing I really am.
Can I just say?
No, you keep interrupting me. Wait until I've finished a sentence at least. Because that's what it's like, really.
It's usually the other way around.
Yeah. Go on, say it, because you spoil a moment now.
I was going to say, Rich could treat himself to a small congratulatory drink, a tipple, if you will.
I mean, that was worth it, wasn't it?
It was.
Christ.
Amazing.
That's very good, Geoff. Well done. Right, what was I saying? Yes, okay, so when it comes to the War Games, right, I have watched it a lot of times over the years, right? I think I bought the DVD way back in 90, whatever it was, right? And I bought the VHS back in 90, whatever it was. It was a two box VHS, and two of them side by side in one packet, and it was all complete, so no nonsense about any missing episodes or anything like that. It's all pretty decent quality, and it looks gorgeous. And I tell you what, the very first time I watched War Games in black and white, I kind of didn't realise. I mean, I did realise, but it didn't feel like it was 10 episodes long. Right. And Terrence Dix, who's been interviewed about this over the years, has always said, look, it's got loads and loads of padding. You know, it was never his intention really to sort of join up Doctor Who as a script editor and have to write a 10 episode story. The reason he did that is because Troughton's last series was an absolute disaster zone as far as stories were concerned, right? They were dropping out, all sorts of things were going on, and Terrence, who'd only just started as a script editor. I think he might have even been an apprentice script editor at that point. Had to step in and do a lot of work on the scripts that were unfinished,
Right.
half written, half abandoned, cut and shunted from other things. The producer, Derek Sherwin, had started writing his own stuff, so Terence had to deal with that as well. And stories dropped out. So the War Games was written to fill a massive hole in the programming, right? Because they had to get those episodes filled. It was, they had to do something. So they just thought, well, let's do just one epic story to see off the second Doctor. He'd already sort of Troughton had already told people he was going to move on from then. So that was essentially what it became. But Terence has always maintained that it's full of padding. They were kind of making it up as they went along. They had a loose story structure. Him and Mel Cook, who kind of co-wrote it with him. And but it for whatever reason, it turned out to be a brilliant story, even with the padding. Because what I feel about this so-called padding is the fact that, yes, there is a lot of running around and there's escape, recapture, but all of that and what happens within those scenes actually moves the story, develops the story, increases the jeopardy, raises the stakes, gives us a few questions about what's going on, because we probably don't really know what's going on until maybe sort of episode 4, 5-ish.
Really?
It's a really clever story. The first part of it sets up that brilliant mystery where we think we're in World War One, and then we get treated to a conversation between General Smythe and people on the other end of this video screen. It's like, well, what? But that's all done within the first episode. Right, so we know something weird is occurring. Then at the end of of episode 1, we get at the end of episode 2, I think we get the rolling mist where they end up being charged at by Romans, Romans on the ambulance. But we don't really get to grips with what's actually going on until probably episode 4-ish, and then 5, 6, 7, loads and loads of padding and what have you. But even then, when we end up in the war room, on the in the middle of the zone, the middle of the war zone, in the place, there is some brilliant stuff with the chief scientist, the scientist who's developing the head unit that processes the Earthlings and what have you. There's a massive amount of face-off between the war chief and the security chief, right? James Breed, the security chief, and the war chief dude. And I'm not going to lie, some of that is a little bit grating, because the security chief always talks like that, which is fine for a couple of lines, but after 4 episodes it gets a little bit wearing, to be fair. So a lot of that stuff has been cut.
Sounds like Dalek.
He does a little bit, yeah, but it's I mean, James, he's a good actor. He was he's been in Doctor a few times. He was, I think the last time he was in was he was in Full Circle with Tom Baker at the end of his series, and he plays a very different character there. And he was also in the very end of Trial of a Time Lord. He was the keeper of the Matrix, so he didn't have an awful lot to say. But yeah, the whole sparring thing between him and the war chief dude is quite something. But nonetheless, it still adds to the story, because it's still a level of tension and conflict. It's another storyline. Now, okay, they took it out, and then of course, as I said, you've got the chief scientist, and when the Doctor infiltrates that base, there's a lot of him sort of winding up the scientist, just poking his nose in, tinkering with the circuitry, sort of playing little mind games with the scientist, almost pretending to be, just their kind of innocent, foolish student who's just interested in a few things. So actually, completely banjaxing the scientist and getting him back in his chair and hoist with his own petard, you might say, all of that kind of thing. So there is a huge amount missing from this story. And when I first watched it, I felt like it felt to me as though people were appearing out of nowhere. There's a lot of characters. For example, we get the resistance, the sort of Mexican resistance guy towards, I can't remember his name, and we also get another of the war the war people. I don't know what they're called actually. I'm just going to call them the war people, the guys in charge of this whole thing, who's in charge of the American Independence Zone and possibly also the German side of the World War One zone as well. He just appears out of nowhere, right? About, I don't know, 40 minutes into the colorization, where again there's a lot more of him and more of him being nasty. So, there's context. And I think one thing that's possibly missing from this is a lot of context. But you are nonetheless right. It definitely cuts to the chase. So there's a lot of that stuff. So
Yeah, carry on.
No, go on.
Do you think this cut down edit worked? In the final form, because with the Daleks and colour, some people felt that it didn't work, that it was too choppy, too, trying to make be Tik-Toky. Whereas this, to me, felt like it works. And it's not kind of leaping around too much. I mean, you're sort of saying people just appear out of nowhere, but I mean, it kind of works. But it's not, because
they're not present in the story, in this version of the story, at least, are they? So you do kind of wonder, actually, by taking them out, what does the story actually lose? And, if you think, well, the war games in colour kind of works anyway, actually not very much, right? Because if it works on that basis, then what's wrong? But it kind of reminds me in a way of Genesis of the Daleks, right? So the first time I ever watched Genesis of the Daleks was an omnibus edition, which I think had been done at some point in the 70s, and they repeated it in 1980s something or others as a sort of short season of repeats when I was, 14, 15 years old or something like that. And that was the first time I'd seen Genesis of the Daleks, and I thought it was great. I thought it worked. You know what I mean? It was nice and pacey and it was good and everything else. But then when I saw the actual 6-part story, 10 or so years later, there was a load of I could see immediately what had been taken out of it, and there was a load of other stories, sort of B plot and C plot, and I don't know. See, for me, when those things work, they make a story much richer. And I think one of the best things about the older serialized TV show is the fact that it gives a lot more stories time to breathe, a lot more characters room to develop. They don't develop in every story. Sometimes they stay quite two-dimensional. But in those kind of epic stories, like the Daleks, like Genesis of the Daleks, like the War Games, like the Green Death or the Demons or something, which have some really good character journeys within them. If you take those out, the story is somehow lessened because of it, I feel. Now, if you're watching that cut-down version the first time, you don't see any of that. It's not present, so you don't lament its loss.
Yeah.
So it's purely on the surface, isn't it? And if the story works, then that's great, because there's no... there's nothing wrong with that. The original still exists. You can still go and watch it. And if watching the cut-down, the colour version or whatever it is, the edit, makes you feel, well, okay, I'm interested now to go and see what those 10 episodes or those 6 episodes or 7, what that story is like in its original format. So that has got to be a good thing, regardless of what I may feel about it. Which, to answer that question, is when I first watched it at Christmas on iPlayer, I thought it was greght. I thought it's far better than the Daleks had it, which had its entire emotional heart and soul ripped out of it. So I didn't think that was very successful at all. But I thought the War Games was really good, because again I thought it worked. I thought the story, all the right beats of the story are there. We got the setup in World War One, we got the mystery, then we got a little bit of running around, not as much as the 10-part thing, and then we go straight into the end sequence, on the planning of the war criminals, and then of course the regeneration at the end.
Yeah, it didn't feel like not seeing the full version, didn't feel like anything was missing particularly. It worked. And I also didn't think that the edit itself, the way it was done, was poorly done or too jumpy or anything. No,
like I thought it's pretty good, actually. I kind of enjoyed it. It was just very weird when the Mexican resistance guy turns up at the end. But again, does it really add to it? It's one of those interesting questions, isn't it? You say, oh no, they cut so much out. But if the story works by cutting all that out, is it not better for it? Is it snappier? Is it pacier? Is that what we measure a story by? How quickly we get from A to B?
I think it's I was going to say it's all down to the creator in a way, in what you see in the final version. And I'd say, predictably, the only time I think really extended stuff or putting back in the things that were otherwise removed, of course, works is like in Aliens or The Abyss,
but that's putting stuff back in, though, right?
Yeah, but so this is sort of the reverse. Like you see it, and go, oh, actually, that makes it better. Whereas, you know, here we're talking about, you know, something's been removed, and you're going, but it doesn't really matter actually, perhaps in the end. Whereas with like Aliens, I think that 15 odd minutes that goes back in.
Yeah, you know, exactly. Yeah, and in a way, actually, it's, you know, I say it's a different thing, but that was the original cut. That was the cut Cameron wanted, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah,
20 minutes at the start, and the other bits and pieces throughout.
But it's like with Fantastic Four recently. I saw people saying, "Oh, this bit was in the trailer, but not in the film," and stuff like that. Well, you know, you didn't miss anything because you didn't even notice it wasn't there.
Although saying that, I mean, there has been in recent years, the last sort of 10 or 15 years or so, a kind of habit amongst filmmakers of making a trailer that actually deliberately contains nothing from the film.
Yeah, that does happen. You know, there's a famous
really
you know, shot from Endgame where they were running and it wasn't in the film in the end. But so that does happen. You know, if you watch the trailer for Mission Impossible Fallout, I think there's bits of a car chase and a car crash in it. That the whole sequence was cut from the film in the end. You know, they shot it and then decided they didn't need it. But so that does happen. You know, bits go in trailers that then are not in the final film. But yes, filming things specially for trailers does happen as well. And I think it's often it'd be hard to tell, you know, but
I don't know. I've seen a few things. I mean, I've got this is a whole podcast in itself. Actually, I think is discussing movie trailers of the current day and age. I went to see one when what was it I watched recently? Superman, right? Yeah. So a trailer for the Fantastic Four was on. There was also another sci-fi film which I thought, oh, this looks good, right? But it literally, I kid you not, mate, it told the whole flipping film in like 2 minutes.
It's difficult because
because I thought it looked really intriguing. At 30 seconds or so, I thought, oh wow, this looks amazing. You know, some really nice moody shots of the spaceship, you know, some stuff that was going on and a really intriguing mystery. But then in 31 seconds, it answered that mystery. And I thought, oh, okay, so that's where it's just going to be a bit more E.T. like then, is it? And I kid you not, there was even a third act within the story that maybe possibly showed us what happens in the end. And by that time I thought, oh, okay, so it's that sort of film. I don't care now. Honestly, the mystery's been destroyed, and actually thankful that it was, because it probably would have been a crap film anyway, looking at it.
Yeah, it's difficult with trailers because the thinking is that they want.
It's not. It's easy, right? If your film is strong enough, right, you sell your film. You sell it. Oh, you don't tell everybody what happens, regardless of what you think of your audience.
But that's they're so worried about
filmmakers and studio execs clearly are not flipping salespeople. Go back to sales skills school. Come here and see me. I'll show you how to do it. It is not difficult. It is route one. It is so pissing easy. A 5-year-old could do it. But these guys paid hundreds of thousands of bleeding dollars cannot do it. They cannot sell their film because they cannot actually mostly agree on what the film is, regardless of the audience.
Yeah.
I told you there's a whole podcast of ranting going on there.
Yeah,
mate. I'll tell
I'm
you
not doing that
so
one.
Let's go back to the war games.
What is your thoughts on the war chief being an incarnation of the master?
Let me just dial straight back to the start of this podcast. Paul, you run this one. You sort out everything. I'll just go along with it. Yeah, that was my next question I was going to ask you, but no, that's fine. You just get me into a rant now.
Yeah, chill it out.
Honestly. What did you think of it, Geoff?
I hadn't heard of it before.
Did you get that he was the master in this edit then?
Well, when I was watching it,
yeah,
I was admiring his facial topiary.
He does have a good old chin curtain there, doesn't he?
Soup catcher. I must admit, I thought, is he supposed to be the master? Why do I not know anything about this incarnation of him? And then is there like a musical motif that's supposed to tie it together?
There was two, right? So when things get a little bit panicky with the war chief, we get the that Murray Gold thing from from, was it in Utopia we first said it? Yeah, that, right? And then a bit later on, in the quieter moments between the Doctor and
Does it
the
go?
War Chief. No, the first bit did, right? The second bit, in the quieter moments, does the third Doctor's master, the Delgado's master, right? Where it goes like that.
So they're trying to confirm that theory. There. Yeah. I don't dislike that at all. Like I said, in the in the colour version, I was thinking, yeah, is that meant to be the master? Like, I've never seen that.
So did you get it from the musical Stings? Did you get it from the guy, the way he was, or?
Yeah, from how he looked and the way he was and stuff. I'm not great on kind of musical things, you know.
You're a filmmaker, Geoff. You make films.
Yeah, I know, but there's
somebody else does the music.
It's the way someone will say, oh, you just said, oh, the third Doctor's master theme. Well, I don't know it well enough to have picked up on it, you know. And if it's not if it's not played in exactly the same way, you know, or sort of, you know, it's extended or something, I might not sort of pick up on it. It's like I've been listening to the Thunderbolts soundtrack recently, and I've been listening to that a lot, and you can hear like slower versions of you know, people's themes and stuff within it, so I'm now picking up on that, but I would never have got any of that, you know, without having listened to it, you know, repeated like this. So no, musically I didn't pick up anything on that.
I think that one, to be fair, is kind of one for the fans as such. I think that's one for, I don't think that's something that a new viewer would pick up on at all.
Well, no,
if they're not
wouldn't.
Familiar with, well, like you're not even that familiar with the Third Doctor, so you wouldn't have got it from that at all. I mean, for me, I thought it was a lot of fun, actually. I mean, whenever I've watched the War Games, it's always annoyed me, the fact that he's not the master. Do you know what I mean? Because it just seems like he should absolutely be the master, and clearly, I guess, given that the master came into Doctor Who, only 2 years after this, 2-3 years after this. So, you know, he's just that sort of comic book villain that is totally antagonistic to the Doctor. They're opposite sides of the same coin. So this was the first time we'd had that villain, somebody of the Doctor's own race who wasn't a sort of, I mean, we'd had someone before. We had the meddling monk before, but this is a very different sort of villain, much more calculating, much colder, much less empathic, much more of a you know, a real kind of Bond villain, if you like. It's that sort of thing, right? And the total antithesis of our hero. So it's clear that the War Chief at least was the first to fill that template for, as far as Terrance Dicks was concerned, because obviously, you know, gave the brief to Robert Holmes of Tale of the Autons. So it kind of works, but I've always thought, to be fair, what if he was the master? And clearly I'm not alone. There's a lot of, you know, Russell T Davies and you know, Ben Cook obviously thought the same, and everybody else who's involved in this. And I'm really glad they did it, actually, because it's something you can. I mean, I'd read about the fact they'd done this before I saw it, and I was kind of my immediate reaction was one of almost jumping online and venting off my spleen about it without actually watching it, you know, as so many of us do. But when I did actually watch it, I thought, well, no, it's really good because it's there for the fans. It's not actually that explicit. You know, it's there in the performance, it's there in the music, but you can choose to ignore it if you want to. You know, but I actually quite like the fact they have sort of stitched it in, because I've always wanted to believe that it was the master, the War Chief. Yeah,
I liked it. Like you said, if you didn't have, you know, I didn't know the theory until after, but because obviously
it's not really a theory though, is it? It's, you know, it's there. It's you know, it's not theory. It's not a fan theory. It's something that's woven into the texture of the show.
I didn't know anything about it, so I was watching it and I thought, is this guy meant to be the master? Oh no, he's not. Then I read about it afterwards, and I was like, "Oh yes, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I like it.
No, fan theory is the kind of thing. It's like the whole 6B thing, isn't it? Series 6B. What happened between Troughton getting packed off by the Time Lords, disappearing behind a sort of proto-Bohemian Rhapsody music video, and then appearing in Oxley Woods, you know, a year later in the 1970s/1980s/1970s/1980s. which I thought that was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that in a minute, right? Let me just, before we move on from this end, right, because I think now's a good time to read, to find out what Freya did think of this.
Okay.
Right? So, here we go.
Hello, Who Corner to Corner listeners. This is Freya. I'm very, very sorry I couldn't be there in person-ish, I guess. I was too busy enjoying Freshers Week. I've just started uni, so that has been the priority, is going out clubbing. And anyway, I'm going to tell you what I thought of the War Games, because my dad forced me to watch it. And I mean forced. He asked me multiple times every single day. Overall, I thought it was really good. I did actually really enjoy the storyline. I thought that it was a very good concept, but the execution, the delivery, I felt could have been better. You could tell that it had been cut multiple times, and even though I had never watched the full version, I could still tell that like bits had been cut out. Yeah, so sometimes it didn't make full sense and you were a bit confused. You were like, wait, how did they get to that bit? It's been a while since I watched it, so I can't quite remember the exact moments, but I think there was a bit where the Doctor and Zoe were on the floor looking at this map, and there was just certain bits, and like when they saw the TV, I felt that everything wasn't explained quite right, and we as watchers were quite confused about what was going on. Even though I understood the whole like main plot line, there were certain like subplots that I feel could have like done better, or just get rid of them completely, genuinely. So then it felt like it was quite really, really quick at points, almost too choppy. And I know I like quick things. I constantly moan about things being too slow, but it was too quick. But the end and the start was so slow. I felt like they could have sped up, got into the story more, and then done more of the story. And they could have made it like 2 hours and I genuinely wouldn't have been bored. Like, I barely went on my phone when I watched this, and that's a good sign. They could have explained Gallifrey a bit more, because Dad said that was the first time that had ever like been mentioned, and I felt like it was just kind of, oh, it's there, done. I liked what they did with the regenerations and how they showed all the different doctors, like when the Doctor gets to be exiled to Earth, and it kind of makes sense because Dad had explained that before to me, but actually watching it made a lot more sense. I loved Zoe, but Dad told me that she was smart, but quite often, even though I could tell that she was smart and she was good, she still seemed to be like, oh, Doctor, whatever will I do? And I'm like, girl, come on, you know what you're doing, love. You're smart, you've got this, you don't need a man. But that's just my little feminist in me. And also, I know it's just the time, so I can kind of look past it, but that did frustrate me a little bit. All the Scottish stuff with Jamie was really funny, like when they're telling him that he's, what's it called, like, deserted, and he's like a deserter and stuff like that. That's actually what it is in my book. I don't know if that's what it actually is called. That was really funny. Like the guy who came from the other like time period was funny, and then they were talking to each other and realised that both of them were Scottish. Yeah, I thought they could have done a bit more with like the explanations of things. Like actually when you discovered what was going on, I was like, what? I don't know, I was just confused. I feel like I might have to watch it again and maybe I'll understand it a bit more. But like I said, I feel like it could have been a lot better executed and just filled in a bit more rather than cutting loads of what seemed like important stuff out, unless it just doesn't make sense in full either. But yeah, I did understand the whole storyline. Also, I did not realise who the Master was for so long. I felt so dumb. I'm normally so good at those. I normally detect them like so quickly, but I didn't. I guess I just hadn't like thought about it because I knew it was early and I couldn't think of like whether the Master was a thing yet or not. And I can't remember. And I don't know, I don't even know if it was that. I think I was just being dumb. And I felt really stupid after. So I was really annoyed with myself. But yeah, I would watch more old stuff. I do like the old stuff. Sometimes. Depends on the episode. Some of them are really scary though. Like, some of the old makeup and stuff, it's so realistic. Like, now I feel like you can tell it's... Well, you can't tell it's CGI now. It's still really good. And the makeup is still really good. But I don't know, just because it's like old and grainy, it looks terrifying. I think that's basically everything. But yeah, overall I did like the storyline. The concept was good, but yeah, again, I feel like they could have just added more and I wouldn't have felt like it was slow. That's my essay done. Bye everyone. Hope you have fun listening to my dad's loud voice and stupid comments. Bye. Oh yeah, and apologies for my voice being croaky. I went to a foam party last night and I was singing so loud, and that was the second night in a row I'm going out, and I'm going out again tonight. Woohoo!
Well, there you go. So, I mean, on the one hand, it's too fast. On the other hand, it's too choppy. On the other hand, it's too slow. On the other one, it could have been a little bit slower. So, who knows, really? I think it's like it's down to everybody. I know, yeah. But there you go. This is the big problem with the TikTok generation, is the fact that you cannot you cannot anticipate what is going through their heads at any time. You can imagine it, and you can think you understand it, but I tell you now, you don't. So always fall back on what you know, kids, or adults trying to sell their movies via stupid trailers because they're trying to second guess kids. Don't do it. It's a route to nowhere. I tell you now.
That's like a real brain dump there. I like it. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, that's it. It's brain dump. It's just literally like all of that stuff. So the other thing let's talk about actually the regeneration part then, right? Yeah. So to be fair, the way this thing is edited, right? So I'll give you a quick rundown, right? So most of part one is there. There's not much taken out of part one at all, which is quite interesting. And there's a good chunk of part two, and then it sort of all gets very floppy. And then towards the end of it, we get a lot of stuff at the end, especially in the final episode, which seems to me to have been barely touched at all, apart from some interesting things thrown into it. So that whole sequence then, so you haven't seen this before, right? This is the first time you've seen that episode where Troughton, the Doctor, is finally pulled back by the Time Lords, is put on trial after the war dude's trial, and sent to exile on planet Earth.
I've probably seen it in like a compilation of. No, not on TikTok. I've probably seen it in a regeneration montage thing. You know, they sometimes have those on the BBC Doctor Who channel. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But no, I've not seen it in the episode. No.
So what did you think of it then? Because I actually, before you answer that, right, just to say, this must have been really big at the time, right? Because so this is end of 1969. Doctor Who had been going on for 6 years now. We'd done the first Doctor. A mysterious old man in a TARDIS with his granddaughter had kind of moved on, regenerated, renewed himself, become this kind of cosmic hobo with holes in his trousers, and now suddenly he's revealed to be a member of the all-powerful, almost godlike race of Time Lords who speak in a very stentorious voice, who initially are not seen, who can conjure up force fields that freeze people in as they run towards the TARDIS very slowly, right? Who can literally lift entire civilizations out of time and place them in a loop where they will, it was almost as if it was the whole planet was like as if it never existed, where they could do the same to an individual at the snap of a finger. So this must have been quite a big thing, and I would imagine at the time there would have been a lot of people who would, can you imagine if Twitter was online in 1969 when this thing landed? You would literally have one half of fandom saying, well, this is terrible, they've revealed the doctor's identity, we know who he is, when I was a kid he was just a mysterious old man in a box, now he's a Time Lord, he's from a godlike race, what is this nonsense? I'm never going to watch this crap again. And on the other hand, it'd be like, well, do you know what, actually, maybe there's a whole bunch of new adventures opening up now that we know this. Does that sound familiar, Geoff?
It sounds like they've disrespected Hartnell.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah,
it is. It just shows us, right?
Was first.
All of these arguments just repeat. They're circular, right? They just go round and round in fandom. Every time there's a major kind of jump or something in the show,
no different to destroying Gallifrey or the Timeless Child or somebody
out there will tell us it is, of course.
well, good for them. But you know, you're right. Back in, when was this?
69.
69. You know, well, I mean, maybe people weren't so as invested in it as they are now. You know, the law and things. But yeah, this would probably have been, you know, a pretty seismic event within it all. You know,
Well, yeah,
we're all
because,
seeing. You know,
you think about it. I mean, you know, the Doctor could have literally been anybody.
Yeah.
You know, when we first met him in Unearthly Child, and of course there was the pilot, which said he was like which gave
The
a little
future.
bit more tantalising, 50,000 years in the future or whatever it is. You know, and, you know, kind of intimated then he was a sort of god, and they sort of toned it down a little bit. But he literally could. So everybody who had their theories at that point, you know, regardless of what your theory was, well, no, that's gone now. The Doctor is this,
Yeah.
a fugitive from the Time Lords who went on the run in a TARDIS because he felt like he needed to do something, he needed to intervene because the Time Lords, for all their great powers, would not do so. And it actually constructed a whole scaffolding of rules and regulations that they were obedient to that actually stopped them doing anything. But the Doctor sees the injustice in the universe. Now we get that whole sequence at the end of it where all that is kind of explained to him while he's not doing very much.
yeah.
And there's a screen up behind him, like a PowerPoint screen as well, right?
Yeah. So what in the new version? What where the promo shots of future Doctors appear?
See, now Freya asked me exactly the same thing, you know. So she goes, "What was there originally?" And it was like, well, actually, not very much. To be fair, you know,
Yeah.
just a few random sketches of people. So what did you think of that then? So we get someone who's too old, who
what is
turns
it?
out to be the 12th Doctor.
Too
We get someone
thin.
who's too thin, turns out to be number 10, your favourite, and we get someone who won't do at all, which is number 13.
Yeah, no, that's 11.
Oh, was that 11? I beg your pardon.
13,
Yeah.
13 is too young.
Oh, that's just not right.
Yeah, yeah, I liked it because, well, I mean, yes, I did because it was a bit of fun. I mean, it's sort of saying that, you know, the Doctor's life is preordained, and all the different faces and incarnations are just predetermined, or you know. And the sequence they're going to be in, or they're, you know, it's just a random grab bag at what point they appear. So yeah, like it was fun in the episode, but I'm sort of not sure I like the overall idea that it creates at that point in the Doctor's timeline. The Time Lords knew, you know, what would happen, you know, going forward. And from a I suppose technical point of view, using the publicity shots like that was pretty lame. It was a bit like a Moffat episode where Donna and Rose and Martha appear in the TARDIS, and they're supposed to be holograms of them, and it's publicity shots, and I fully appreciate they can't get the people back for it, but they could have, you know, taken a clip from an episode or something, or you know, there would have been something better to do. It looks like it's the sort of thing that people nowadays go, it's lazy. It's not lazy because you still got to put the work into it. It just doesn't look as good as having, you know, a clip from an episode or something like that, you know. So yes, it was fun, but using absolutely
Promo
blatant
shots.
promo shots, you know, not great. So yeah, that's my thoughts
I
on
wonder why
that.
they did do that then, because you're right, because they could have lifted an image. I mean, you know, this any story.
Yeah, you know, you could just have
moving
used
image or something.
Yeah, just used a clip of the Doctor running or whatever, or you know.
Was it just a last minute thought that they said, let's replace these with actual Doctors from the modern series, and what we got to hand. Quick look online, download some images.
Yeah, but then you
Stick 'em
spend
in.
all this time recolouring it.
Yeah.
A huge amount of time recolouring, re-editing. You know, you could easily put a clip on there. So maybe there's something like that. I don't know. They couldn't.
Maybe there's other reasons that we just don't know. Maybe they're up against a deadline. It was over it, and it's like, you know what? Honestly,
or perhaps
going through getting the clearance rights for the use of the episode, even within the BBC, might have been tricky.
Maybe. Yeah.
At the end of the day, let's just cut that ball ache and just get still
Yeah,
shots.
it worked. It was fun.
It was fun. I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was a nice little kind of nod to the fans, because again, it's like, in terms of canon or whatever, it's completely ridiculous. Well, it's not actually completely ridiculous. They're Time Lords, right? So they can see the future in some ways, or whatever.
Yes,
or
true.
maybe the Matrix that the Time Lords are all connected to projected these behind the Doctor. With there's ways you can fudge it within it, but but I thought it was just great fun, and I really enjoy. This is one of the plus sides, I think, of having something like this done by fellow Doctor Who fans, is the fact they understand these little triggers that kind of make us want to give the whole thing a giant hug, and it's things like this that made me feel that way, and kind of ameliorate the fact that I was not raging but lamenting perhaps the loss of so much stuff, unavoidably so, granted, from the story. A lot of stuff that I still enjoyed. It's a weird kind of thing, but I'm glad this is something that was done by fans, pretty much for the fans as well. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, I think so. Yeah, and same with the War Chief Master thing.
Exactly.
Obviously for fans there.
So that end sequence then, so we get an actual sort of modern style regeneration for the second Doctor into third, don't we?
Yeah.
So this sequence, actually, because I thought I'd seen this before, and I did a bit of research on it afterwards, and it turns out I had, because it's a guy who what's his name, Jacob Booth, who's on YouTube as the Confession Dial.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he's done loads of these kind of edits, and he's also done one for 60, regenerating at the end of the Big Finish story with the Valiard. So and that's pretty decent. So he'd done this thing, and apparently it caught the eye of Russell T Davis, who then emails Ben Cook to say, you've got to get this in some way. So the BBC got in touch with him, got him, permission to kind of use it, and then added a few little extra bits onto it as well, kind of jazzed it up, and and I thought it does look good. I thought it's great. It's a really nice thing to have, and it still doesn't eliminate the whole fan theory of Series 6B, because again, we still only see the Dr. X in the courtroom as kind of getting sucked into some kind of weird lensy void, and then the next time we see him, he's in the TARDIS, which is in mid-flight. He's sat in a chair, head down, and the regeneration glow and the musical notes start to kick in.
Yeah, and then I suppose because it's that doesn't. I was going to say then we see him fall out of the TARDIS, but I'm not sure I agree, because you see him regenerate and then fall out, so it does sort of knock out the Series 6B thing.
Well, no, because there's a period of time from when the Doctor leaves the courtroom, right? And because all we see is him go, no, what are you doing to me, like that. Right, and he's all kind of wrapped up in a Bohemian Rhapsody kind of thing going on, right? And then the next time, so that's as far as the end of the original War Games goes. That was where it stops, right? So we take that moment as being the actual regeneration, just the effect that they did at the time, right? But what if that isn't the regeneration, which is kind of what the colorized version suggests, because the regeneration, something that we would all recognise now as a regeneration, happens in the TARDIS.
Right. Okay, but
so there's time between that and the glowy hands part.
Yes, but
do you see what I mean?
Yes, but the fugitive Doctor then can't fit in there.
No. So this is it. Yeah, I don't think the fugitive Doctor's from that part anyway.
No. So what's the full 6B one? Because I'm getting it.
Okay, so
there's
okay, right. Is it up here? Have I still got it?
Let me look at that. Doctor Who series.
I'm looking for a Big Finish box set, which is the second Doctor Who Adventures, right? So basically, it didn't start with that, but there's a whole series of fandom and fan fiction and what have you that says between the end of the second and the start of the third Doctor, the Doctor was used for a whole bunch of Time Lord steered adventures, where he was kind of used by an agent of the Time Lords to sort of clean up, the bad things that they couldn't be seen interfering with, and all that sort of stuff, right? So, and Big Finish did at least one box set, if not more, of the Second Doctor Adventures, which kind of delved into that. So literally, the Second Doctor wakes up, somewhere, and he's been used as an unwitting agent for the Celestial Intervention Agency, or CIA, as they're called in The Deadly Assassin, right? So that's really where the whole 6B thing. So with that already in place, I know a lot of fans were kind of theorising that maybe that's where the Fugitive Doctor comes from. So maybe she's some kind of in-between point between the second and third regenerations. Maybe Troughton's Second Doctor regenerates into the Fugitive Doctor, and then the Fugitive Doctor becomes the Third Doctor, which would have been quite neat. But I think what War Games does is categorically then say, well, no, that doesn't happen.
Yes,
because we see that regeneration from the second into the Third Doctor.
Yeah, and people may disagree, but it's been stated that Fugitive came before it, and and
exactly.
maybe others.
Mate, well, this is it, isn't it? Plenty of others.
Yeah,
And this again, right? It does make me laugh when when you have these sort of conversations with quite passionate fans sometimes. The fact that it's very categorically that the Doctor can only regenerate so many times, and it's like, well, again, that was never stated until like 1975 or 76 even, or something. In The Deadly Assassin. And even then, the guy who says it, is not known for actually being full of. It's not that he's lying or anything. It's just that actually what he's saying is not true in so many ways. No one can enter the Matrix. Well, that's not true, because there's at least 2 people already in there, and a third when you count the Doctor, and a few other things. So it's quite natural sort of to kind of extrapolate from that and say, well, maybe the whole thing he believes about regeneration isn't true either. And clearly we've seen that's
I think
Time Lords can have many more regenerations.
Yeah, when you don't have a set show Bible.
Yeah, you just make it up as you go along.
Yeah, you just make it up. Yeah,
exactly, which is great. So then the final thing I just wanted to say, just to point out, was so when at the end of that sequence in the TARDIS, we get that brilliant little moment at the end where the TARDIS monitor, sort of chronometer, or whatever it's called, is flicking between 1970 and 1980.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. So, because what people are debating where Pertwee came out in, it's clearly the 70s.
It is clearly the 70s, but there's more than one occasion where it's referenced as the 1980s.
What, in the show? Is it? Oh, I didn't know that.
So yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. It's the unique dating conundrum. Dun 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 dun. Which again is a lot of fun in Doctor Who. So the whole unit thing, when it was originally conceived, was supposed to be it's sort of 10 years in the future or thereabouts, near future kind of thing, right? I.e., 1980 something or other, right? But clearly, all the fashions, all the designs, everything, all the vehicles, everything is so embedded and so gloriously 1970s. It's hard to visualize it as anything but. And I kind of think that as the series went along, it's like they sort of forgot about the whole 1980s thing, except until when Sarah Jane came into it, because Sarah Jane announces herself as being very definitely from 1980. So there's a thing, right? And there's a few other moments where it does that. So but again, it's like you said, it's without show Bible. They're making up as they go along. Different writers have different ideas, and some things, nobody's writing all this. The only people writing all this stuff down furiously and keeping notes and tracking dates and everything else is the fans. That's it. The people making the show back in those days certainly didn't. So it's interesting now, of course, that those fans have been, makers and creators and actors within the show over the last sort of 30 years or so, which is quite interesting.
More focused and all that kind of stuff, and trying to make it cohesive. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I wonder if they'll do more of these in colour cut downs.
I wonder. I think I kind of hope they're getting better and better at them. I thought this was a massive step up from the Daleks. And I'm always going to lament the loss of parts of a story, but I think that's just me. You know what I mean? And you know, it's good. You know, none of this replaces the original version, which is still out there on Blu-ray and DVD, and it's on iPlayer or Disney or whatever you get your Doctor Who. But the fact that people will spend so much time and energy creating something so lovingly has got to be applauded.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the main thing here with it. Yeah.
So are we thumbs up on the War Games in colour then?
Thumbs up to the War
Thumbs
Games
up.
in colour.
There you go. Well done, Ben Cook and Rich Tipple and the guys. You did a great job as far as we're concerned. We give it the Who Corner to Corner seal of approval.
Now, talking of your silly voices, do you want to wrap up with our little featurette?
The time-space visualizer.
You think I would know when that was coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not then? So, Geoff, what have you been watching then?
I'm going to go with the first episode of Marvel Zombies that I've watched this week.
I saw that on Disney. I saw it on the old banner there. I thought, well, that looks fun. I bet Geoff's seen all of them already.
No, I haven't been able to watch with all 4 of them yet. I really like the animation style that Marvel use on those shows.
Keeping you up, mate.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I was up at 6 o'clock this morning.
Woe is me.
The animation style, like they had a What If. I think it's great. This sort of really kind of nicely lit, and everything's kind of nicely rounded and stylized. It looks fantastic. But as a series, it's great. It's obviously on another, version of Earth somewhere. And the zombie thing has taken over. So cue a handful of heroes trying to cure it all with a little MacGuffin and some gloriously over the top violent scenes and the chance of some equally good heroes to be kind of given the spotlight a little bit more, and some versions of characters to mash up and be slightly different. So so far really good. Just really dynamic. Some great kind of single shot action pieces in it. Really nicely done.
So does that take its cue from the What If episode where they're all zombies? What if they were all zombies?
Which is a comic series. The Marvel Zombies series comes out every few years, and it's very popular. So it's all based off of that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I might get around to watching that one day. You never know.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you want to know what I've been doing?
I do.
I've been watching. I told you it was going to happen. I binged Alien Earth.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It didn't take me long, mate. I'll tell you now. I started it on Saturday night with one episode, and then just did the rest of them between now and then. So I finished it last night, which is when the finale came out last night. So I managed to get it in time. See, it's good forward thinking.
That's because you've got time.
Yeah, I do have a lot more time now, but I still have done it anyway. I'll tell you, because I manage my time really well. No, I thought it was great. Honestly, mate, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Really, really. I mean, it wasn't the show that I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Not going to lie. It went off in something that I just did not expect. I don't know what I expected, to be fair, but it wasn't really that. I was kind of hoping, so we get to see a bit of Wayland Yutani, and it's nice to see a little bit more of the Earth setup explained. So we got 5 corporations, and we got sort of Kid Genius and everything else, and then we got. But what I really, really enjoyed is the fact that we've got a lot of healthy, very fruity kind of discussions and debates and philosophy about the nature of artificial intelligence and our relationship with it as biological human beings, and we just signed our own death warrants and all of that kind of stuff. And so it was a lot of fun, and there was some really, try not to swear, there was some really messed up alien nonsense in there, man. It was absolutely crazy, some of that, which Alien always is, right? The first one must have been just You know, they had people vomiting in the aisles or whatever else because it was so disgustingly shocking. And they managed to kind of get some of that in, not with the actual xenomorph, because we know what that does, right?
Yeah,
That's just a thing now. We know it's like, but you know, really cleverly gave us some other aliens to kind of go, what the hell? No, it doesn't do that. Oh my god, the eye thing.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I want an eye thing for myself. I love it. So that was it was a lot of fun. So did you finish watching it?
Yeah,
you seen them all now?
I finished it. Yeah, it was really good. I mean, possibly a little talky in places.
I love talkie. I sound a bit older, maybe. You know, if the talkie's good, I love talkie.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You know, it had some sort of, you know, it was quite deep. You know, in places. Great production values. You know, I like the addition of the different creatures, you know, that they've picked up in space somewhere. I don't care, you know, where from or anything like that. You know,
no, that doesn't matter. It's the fact that they are there at that point, isn't it? They get out. They escape the zoo, so to speak.
Octopus thing and the acid vomiting bug thing,
and flies.
And the plant thing. You know. Really good. And seeing the alien, you know, great design on it. And seeing it outside in the light as well was a first.
And did you see it? Obviously, kind of camouflages itself as well, right? So it adapts to. We know the alien adapts to its surroundings. But we normally only see it in very dark corridors. So it's a very kind of oily, inky, black skin, sort of rubbery-looking thing. But out in the jungle, it goes all predator. Which I thought was quite fun. Starts getting blotches of sunlight. You know,
it was cool. And then you know, you got to see the thing that the facehugger implants, and then
the embryo.
Then the chest burster, then a sort of baby, you know, alien, and then slightly, you know, more grown up and stuff. So that was really good. It put some extra steps in it. It's interesting because, you know. I think Alien and Aliens are brilliant. There's some good stuff in Alien 3 and Resurrection. AVP are largely terrible. And you know, the other
best forgotten, really.
Best forgotten, and Predator 2. But what's it called? Prometheus. Again, some good stuff, but also sort of not great.
A lot of half-baked stuff as well. I mean, Prometheus has its fans, to be fair.
I mean, it's not a bad film. It's just not, you know, brilliant. I think it was probably unnecessary.
It was interesting in the fact that actually, because again we saw the Earth that all this comes from, the future Earth, right? Although I guess the one we saw in Alien Earth is quite a few years further on, right? Cause they're already aware of the xenomorph and everything else there.
Well, again, there's no Bible, so it's all just been made up as they go along.
And that's some really good nods to the original movies as well, right? So they pretty much recreated the best sets from the Nostromo.
It was really nice.
The white stuff, the darker engineering levels, even the one where you know, the one with the spotlight. Where what's the name? Oh God, I'm really terrible. It's the trouble doing this late at night. I can never remember names. But where one of the girls from the first film who was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, she gets done in with the spotlight against her. She's working on things like the chain stripping. So it had all of that. It even had a cat. Who got its eyeball replaced.
Had the eyeball,
dragging the remains of itself. Oh man. It's just
I think Covenant was crap.
That was awful. I thought I didn't enjoy that the slightest.
And then they recently obviously did Romulus and which was fairly good.
It was alright, wasn't it? Yeah, more of a return to form without trying to be anything special. I think more of a reset.
But it's a bit like you know, since Disney got hold of Fox, they've sort of you know, tried to squeeze more life out Predator and Alien.
You've watched some of those, haven't you? I think
but the thing is, like when they first announced all this stuff, I was a bit like, you know, look, Romulus tanked because the audience it's aimed at, which is essentially you and me and our age group, they can't go to the cinema that often. Like, you know, my choice was Romulus.
Tank though, did it actually tank?
It didn't do brilliantly.
Did it make a loss?
You know, probably. But
You don't know.
I'm not sure. Look it up. It didn't do amazing.
Yeah, but that's different from tanking, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was kind of where they expected, but the audience is not 20-year-olds because they don't really know what Alien is. But since they've got everything back or got everything to Disney, I think they've done a really good job with both series and actually made some stuff that kind of, for me, wipes out some of the kind of crap that's been done in the past. And the Prey film was brilliant. Hunter of Killers, the animated Predator thing, was really good. The new stuff there is better than the middling. The stuff because the first Predator film was great. It's fantastic.
I really enjoyed it. Second one,
it's putting the Predator into historical settings has worked really well. Which is Hunter of Killers or whatever it's called. Is just 3 different stories in different time periods with different predators. It's great, and then Badlands looks really good, the new one, and then I think Alien Earth has been really good. So yeah, there's some decent stuff. Yeah,
there you go. I've got some stats on Romulus. So Alien Romulus earned over 50 million worldwide.
Oh really?
It was the second highest grossing film in the franchise behind Aliens. Praised for its technical aspects, blah 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 blah. Signals, box office strength, critical audience reception, positive. Recognised for technical achievements, earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Visual Effects, and blah 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 blah. Strong overseas performance. There you go. So generally not tanked, I would say, mate. Sorry to sort of throw water on you, but you just surprised me when you said it tanked. I'm like, well, that's not what I'd heard. But
I didn't think it had done that well. But no, that's all right, and it was good.
For a film that like you said, these days they're going to end up on TV at some point anyway, on streaming or whatever. So I thought it was, and I kind of enjoyed it. And I don't think I've spoken to anybody who hasn't.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. It needed more aliens in it, but it was good. Yeah,
kind of a reset. But there you go. Right, let's wrap this up then, because it's gone on far too late. Thank you, as always, dear listeners, for sticking with us throughout this last hour. We hope we have somehow entertained you for the time whilst you've been in our company, and you've certainly entertained us, and we love you loads. So please do join us on our next episode, because we've got some real crackers coming up, ain't we, Geoff? Wow! I don't know why I went on. Yeah, maybe that's the thing for next time. Right, see you next time, listeners. Take care.
TTFN.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.